Closer to getting a nuclear bomb than we previously thought. A new assessment by one of America's top nuclear experts says Iran could produce enough weapons-grade material to make an atomic bomb in as little as 1 month. This goes against estimates by the Obama administration, which had said that Iran is probably a year away from getting the bomb. Lisa Daftari is a Fox News contributor and a Middle East journalist. Lisa, great to see you. Are you surprised by this much shorter time frame that we're now hearing in terms of Iran getting a bomb?
It's not that surprising, especially given the fact that more conservative estimates are only at 6 months now. So if we take this time frame now, the more alarmist, if you want to call it, 1 month suggestion, or the 6 month, it's not that far off. But the thing that experts are pointing to the most is that in 2012 there were about 12,000 centrifuges ready to go, and now it's at 19,000. So we do know that as the Obama administration and the West is trying to negotiate some sort of deal or come to some sort of understanding with the Iranian regime over their nuclear program, at the same time the centrifuges are spinning.
And there's a rift here at home, as I'm sure you know, where the White House wants to give negotiations a chance with Iran, yet Congress is pushing to tighten sanctions on Iran. What do you think about which policy the U.S. should be pursuing?
Right, so there's actually a push by a senator to tighten the sanctions at this very moment, because they're arguing that, yes, the Iranian regime is using this guise of negotiations to, again, play out the clock and use this to get closer to nuclear weapons. And what we have to really understand here is that these advocates for strengthening sanctions against Iran right now are saying, look, this might be a moderate president who has a softer tone in Iran than we've seen before, but they're still saying our bombs are for nuclear, for peaceful purposes, and that's what we saw from Ahmadinejad, who was a more hardline president. So if we're seeing the same actions by this regime, we can't actually believe anything until we see them, stopping those centrifuges. And they've come out and said, this new president, this new Iranian president has come out and said, we will not stop uranium enrichment. And that's what we really have to see from them to actually believe that they're not going towards a nuclear bomb.
There's often a fear with sanctions, it's certainly true in North Korea, that they end up hurting the people more than they end up hurting the people in power or the president. Is that true in Iran as well?
Right, and I'm so glad that you brought this up, Allison, because that's really the main point here, that the people of Iran are suffering. There's two economies in Iran. There's one, the regime's economy, and the people's economy. And as you can imagine, the regime is masterful at passing this burden, this economic burden, onto the people. So common goods are hard to come by. Pharmaceutical supplies are hard to come by. So the people are really, really suffering. And at the same time, the sanctions aren't enough to deter the regime from continuing with their nuclear program. So we are seeing that the effects of these economic sanctions, they're not working hard enough to stop the problem, and at the same time hurting the people of Iran. But at the same time, the regime here would love to loosen the sanctions, because that little bit of economic breathing space will allow them to complete their nuclear agenda, to get the right supplies, and more importantly, that economic relief for the people of Iran will keep the people off the streets, and that's what the regime is fearing the most.
Wow.